Boys, I think we're about to witness the biggest train wreck known to man. I mean, props to Kamari, she did shoot her shot officially. But if it doesn't start out with episode 4 next week, of this man saying, I think of you as a little sister, not a love interest, I will be shook. I'm welcome to be proven wrong, but the title of this show is literally about how all of them lose. As a wannabe background character somehow builds a harem without realizing it. Because at the end of the day, that's what Nuck's doing. Between Lemon and Anna, I mean, they both are very clearly having eyes of affection for our boy who thinks of himself as just a background character. Hell, not only does his sister, but the general shopkeepers in the surrounding area that they live at think he's a loser. So it's understandable why he also views himself as that kind of background nobody. But this poor, sweet, shy, timid girl is the first one to properly shoot her shot. And I mean fully shoot her shot. I like you. I want to be with you. And I was waiting for a moment, you know? Like, I was waiting for, like, what was going to be the reason why she loses. Because I just knew she had to. And it was after he gave her, like, a little head pat. I was like, oh, God. He thinks of her as a little sister, doesn't he? And I was just waiting for our boy to have that face, like in episode 2. When it was revealed about him having a girlfriend. Dude, that's probably how they're gonna start next episode. It's gonna be so painful. Like, she's probably the sweetest character. How many characters can we have a lore topic about goddamn tap water, man? Give this girl the world, but it's gonna be a train wreck, isn't it? Full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full uncut thought to any of these wonderful, wonderful episodes, can be over there exclusively. So overall, I definitely think this is the best rom-com of the season, and clearly gonna be one of the best rom-coms of the year, but I'm gonna take a little bit further than just that. I think we're witnessing an anime classic in the making, because here's the thing. When you get into anime, if you're not just like watching the big shonens, the big action shows of the season, you know, at the end of the day, there is usually lists that get tossed around. Great school series, great rom-coms, whatever it is. And I honestly think this show, unless it takes a complete nosedive, whether in writing or production, this is going to be one of those shows that 5-10 years from now is still getting recommended. I firmly believe that because it continuously looks like a movie. So that alone helps keep it more relevant because the production is just so expressive. But it's the way these characters interact and talk and just vibe around each other that gives it such a level of funness that you just don't see in a lot of school series. And I honestly will be shocked if this show ever gets forgotten, at least in the long term, like 5-10 years from now, because this is one of those shows that I can just guarantee when I was first getting into anime, if this was one of the shows that was already released, this would have been something that I would have checked out and probably would have had in a top 10 for a long time until I started seeing more and more anime and just different things pushed it out of a list. I'm gonna be honest, I think this is an anime classic in the making, but obviously time will tell. They had such a fun time though at the start of the episode, so just the casual debate about where to get water and how different time periods of the day you go to different spots, and how it's just, they had no reason. There's not a single reason to make that scene as well animated and funny as it was. But these two having a debate about where's the best place to get water, and then our boy just pretty much shuts it down being like, that's stupid, like the chlorine smell, the room temperature, and she's like, no, the warm water is better on the stomach, and the chlorine, it helps mask the smell of the bathroom. And I'm like, why are you eating in the bathroom? And even he says that. She's such an embarrassed girl, man. I just feel so bad for her, and like, if she's like the only character to properly get love in the show, I'd be okay with that too. But I'm just waiting for the train wreck because we pretty much after episode 2 kind of had the general path of like where different characters were going. It was very clear she had affection for this dude, but you know, I was waiting for like, I wonder what it's gonna be. It really has to be that he just doesn't view her as such and views her more as a sister. I really am waiting for that. But if somehow they make it even worse and let her have a relationship and then it just crashes and burns, I swear to God, it's going to be the sickest shit they could possibly do. But this is probably one of the first times I've seen a school series. Now, I've seen it in second seasons, but for a first season, by episode 3 having the beach episode, you don't see that often. For the longest time, it was like episode 6 or 11 or 12 would be like the traditional beach episode, and then they just casually drop it in episode 3. And honestly, it was really fun. It kind of felt like we knew these characters for longer than we actually have so far. It was just like the way they were just bantering, like there's this like fan servicey scene that's just so awkward to watch because like we're basically watching them change. Now, nothing really of significance is shown, but it's the way these two are talking with each other and just like you just felt so awkward, and then it's like, you're supposed to stare. Like, this is the beach. This is what it's like. Such nonsense. It's just peak nonsense, as it's like one of the best produced things possible. Honestly, I was actually surprised because every time there's a moment of something being purchased, I just assume our boy is gonna have to spot her the difference. But seemingly that didn't happen this episode. She bought the wrong food, or at least she bought food from a place that wasn't so great, and seemingly, they didn't show us a tally or anything. But I guess she didn't forget her wallet for once, which is nice. I thought that was going to be more of an ongoing gag, but I guess it will be limited to when she's closer to paying off her debt, and then obviously it'll have to increase again just so that we can keep the gag going. The official Twitter account for the show, though, like every week will update a flowchart about who likes who, and it's fantastic because it just plays into the idea that it knows it's complicated, and I think that's just absolutely wonderful. Right now, though, it does seem that Nook has two characters pretty infatuated over him, or at least getting to the possibility as such. I mean, Anna, absolutely. Lemon's still up in the air, but she's definitely building into that. The fact that our boy didn't realize that he was supposed to grab her hand to pull her up. Peak background character density right there, but it is what it is. Though, yeah, Kamari, she's probably the sweetest. She's easily the funniest. I think she's not only the funniest girl, I think she's just the funniest character in general. Like, sometimes she's super nervous to the point that she needs to use her phone to have, like, a little text on her screen to communicate. Other times she's just a stammering mess. That moment when, basically she's having her little novel proofread, and he talks about having, like, a subtext to it, and it's like, what do you mean? He's like, okay, well, if your title's something like We All Go to the Beach, then you have... But then it turns out it's a nudist beach, and it just gets worse and worse as it goes on. And that's what I love about the humor. It's just so out of pocket, but it just works so well. And it doesn't feel like we've known these characters for 3 episodes. Like, if anything, it feels like we're on a second season at this point. It just feels like I've known these characters for so long, but not in the way that they feel generic and like a copy and paste of what I've seen before. They're just doing such a good job with the chemistry and bonding of the cast. But yes, I'm expecting a train wreck next week. This is not going to be good. And if somehow it works out, the entirety of their relationship, I'm going to be waiting for the shoe to drop and for her to be crushed, because I know some sick bastard is going to write it as such. Now, of course, those are my feelings. Definitely let me know what you're feeling. Do you think she's going to crash and burn? I mean, based on the title, you'd think she has to, but maybe they'll throw a curveball. Let me know what you're feeling down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell. Like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Dawn, Chemist, Fluid Druid, Squeleton, More Rudd, Shadow Cyber Demon, Luke3496, and Brandon Logren. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.